U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo met visiting senior North Korean official Kim Yong-chol in New York. Post the meeting, Pompeo said that there is a great likelihood that U.S. and South Korea can be friends in the future. Addressing a press conference, Pompeo said that he was confident that talks with North Korean officials were moving in the right direction towards a historic summit between the two countries. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says that Moscow is ready to fully assist in implementing agreements reached between Pyongyang and Seoul, according to the Russian Foreign Ministry. Lavrov made the remarks at the beginning of talks with the top leader of Democratic Republic of Korea, Kim Jong-un, in the DPRK's capital, Pyongyang. The U.S. says it was moving ahead with the tariffs on aluminium and steel imports from Canada, Mexico and the European Union, ending a 2-month exemption and potentially setting the stage for a trade war with some of America's top allies. 25% tariff on steel imports and a 10% tariff on aluminium imports from the EU, Canada and Mexico would go into effect. Now, the EU will impose countermeasures after the United States decided to no longer exempt it from steel and aluminium tariffs. The United States says it was moving ahead with tariffs on aluminium and steel imports from Canada, Mexico and the EU, ending a 2-month exemption and potentially setting the stage for a trade war with some of America's top allies. U.S. President Donald Trump said he was considering pardoning celebrity lifestyle guru Martha Stewart, who was convicted in 2004 on charges of conspiracy, obstruction of justice and making false statements related to a probe of alleged insider trading. Trump also says he might commute the prison sentence of a former Illinois governor. Trump also tweeted earlier in the day that he will be giving a full pardon to Dinesh D'Souza. Trump tweeted, and I quote, "He was treated very unfairly by our government," in the reference to the conservative commentator and best-selling author. D'Souza pleaded not guilty in 2013 to federal charges that he used straw donors to exceed campaign contributions to a U.S. Senate candidate in 2012. A report says that U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened to pursue German car makers until there are no Mercedes-Benz rolling down New York's Fifth Avenue dented shares in the luxury car manufacturers. A news and current affairs magazine said that Trump had told French President Emmanuel Macron in April that he aimed to push German car makers out of the United States altogether. Macron's administration in Paris declined to comment on the report. Italy's League Party and Five Star Movement have agreed to form a coalition government in which the little-known economics professor Giovanni Trea will take over the pivotal economy ministry job. The DLC's former Prime Minister designate Conte as Prime Minister, Five Star Movement leading Maio as the Industry Minister and leading leader Matteo Salvini as Interior Minister. Pope Francis is sending his 2 top sexual abuse investigators back to Chile to gather more information about the crisis that has hit the Catholic Church there. Archbishop Charles Esquitula of Malta and Father Jodai, a Vatican official, will concentrate on the Diocese of Osorno in southern Chile, seat of a bishop who has been most caught up in the scandal. Demonstrators rallied in front of Argentina's National Congress as a congressional committee debated a bill to legalize abortion in the deeply Catholic nation. The commission is expected to send a bill that would allow women to interrupt pregnancy during the first 14 weeks of the lower house floor. While Argentina's Congress has debated abortion before, the topic has garnered more attention since center-right President Macri said that he was in favor of the debate. Thousands of pro-Palestinian demonstrators marched in the streets of Istanbul to mark the 8th anniversary of the Mavi Marmara Gaza flotilla incident and to protest against Israel. Now, 10 Turkish Palestinian activists were killed in 2010 in an Israeli raid on a Turkish boat, the Mavi Marmara, which had been trying to breach a blockade on the Gaza Strip. The soldiers raided the ship, leading a flotilla towards the Islamist Hamas-run Palestinian territory. Spain Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy left a restaurant in Madrid where he met with some of his cabinet following the no-confidence debate in the parliament. Rajoy left the parliament before the session ended and was believed to meet at a restaurant in central Madrid with members of his government to discuss the possible outcome of the no-confidence vote he is facing. The United Nations Refugee Agency says that it had reached a framework agreement with the Myanmar government aimed at allowing hundreds of thousands of Rohingya Muslims sheltering in Bangladesh to return safely and by choice. Speaking at a news conference in Dhaka, UN Refugee Agency Assistant High Commissioner George Okodovo said that UNHCR believes that the right of the citizens of Myanmar to return to their country of origin must be preserved in conditions of safety. The teen charged with shooting 17 people dead at his former high school in Parkland, Florida, boasted of plans to commit mass murder in a series of cell phone videos recorded by him before the rampage. The video clips were part of an inventory of prosecution evidence recently shared with the defense team during the pre-trial discovery process. Now, robots are deployed on the streets of Belfast to deliver abortion pills in an awareness-raising exercise were impounded by police as pressure mounts for Northern Ireland's strict pregnancy termination laws to be liberalised. Right groups Rosa and Women on Waves used 2 robots to deliver the pills to women outside a court in the city as they pressed the demands for reform after neighbouring Ireland voted last week to liberalise its laws. Lebanon is working with Damascus for the return of thousands of refugees who want to go back to Syria. As the Syrian army, backed by Iran and Russia, has recovered territory, Lebanon's president and other politicians have called for refugees to go back to secure areas before a deal to end the war. A protest against the murder of Sikh community leader Sardar Charanjit Singh was arranged in front of Peshawar Press Club. Large number of youths from the Sikh community were present at the protest. The protesters chanted slogans against the failure of government and law enforcement agencies. A human rights activist and Sikh community leader Charanjit Singh was shot dead by bike-borne assailants in Peshawar in broad daylight last Tuesday. Striking truckers in Brazil have disrupted supply and exports of farm produce from one of the world's agricultural commodity powerhouse. Brazil is the top global exporter of soybeans, sugar, coffee and chickens. The strike over high fuel prices has paralyzed Latin America's largest economy, emptied Brazilian roadways and left major cities running short on food, gasoline and medical supplies. 1 million daily smokers quit their habit over the past year, according to a study of the French Department of Public Health. The study shows anti-smoking measures and higher taxes on a pack of cigarettes have had a significant effect on the romanticized smoking habit of the French. The French government has recently took symbolic steps in the fight against tobacco, implementing a neutral packaging for cigarette packs and a ban on flavors and additives appealing to young smokers. At least 2 people were killed and over 12 injured in a massive march against President Daniel Ortega's government in Nicaragua. Hundreds of thousands of people took to the streets of Nicaragua's capital, calling for the resignation of President Daniel Ortega and his wife and Vice President Rosario Murillo, and also the justice for the dead in the latest and largest anti-government protest in decades. original map of the 100-acre wood from the Winnie the Pooh children's stories is all set to go under the hammer with an estimate price tag of up to $200,000. The ink sketch drawn by E.H. Shepard in 1926 lays out the much-loved fictional world created by A.A. Milne, depicting the characters Winnie the Pooh, Christopher Robin, Piglet and Eeyore. Locals in Wenchuan County of southwest China's Sichuan province were delighted with a surprise encounter with a giant panda who appeared to be roaming around in their village. The panda was first spotted at around 9, wandering among houses, seemingly in search of food. It strolled along a vegetable garden and trotted its way across a dirt road as it continued its exploratory mission before climbing up a tree. Migrants belonging to minority religions in Pakistan, including Hindus, lined up for Indian citizenship at the district collectorate at a special citizenship camp in the capital, Jaipur city of India's northwestern state of Rajasthan. Forced to migrate due to religious suppression at Pakistan, thousands of migrants have been fleeing their country to take shelter in India over the past couple of years. The Indian economy grew 7.7% during the period from January to March, topping the pace of the previous quarter. For India to retain its position as the fastest growing major economy, India surpassed China's growth of 6.8% in the January to March quarter. India's recovery could be threatened by higher global crude oil prices, which this month hit $80 a barrel, their highest since 2014. 7 of the 8 men accused of involvement in the rape and murder of an 8-year-old Muslim girl in India's Jammu and Kashmir appeared in court for a hearing in a case that sparked nationwide outrage and criticism of the ruling party. The 8th accused is a juvenile and was not brought for the hearing as he is facing trial in a juvenile court in northern Kathua city. Out of the 8 accused, 1 is a retired local government official and 2 are police officers.